Hi, and welcome back to the Point Click Devlog, an ongoing series in which you're never too far away from me publicly calling myself an idiot. Feels like a long time now since the last proper devlog episode, what with the last couple of videos on this channel being focused on tutorialising Unity and the Adventure Creator tool, thanks to some completely selfless help from the main man Jeremy. But you know what, it's been much longer since I started making these videos. Like, more than a year, which is why it's so genuinely personally gratifying to finally be able to show you guys this. Gameplay. Like, actual gameplay from a game. I think I might be a game developer now. Well, kind of, anyway. But the fact is that I'm so chuffed to be able to show some actual gameplay, rather than just talking about one day maybe opening Unity, that I'm just going to keep it on screen while I talk this week. You know, with every video over the past year or so, it's sometimes been a challenge for me to think of something interesting to have on screen while I talk. I'm not on camera with these after all, so each video has needed to have something to look at, and that would normally default to some sped up footage of me working, or a time lapse of a drawing, or whatever. But now I have the beginnings of a game to show you guys. So for this video I'm mostly going to be lazy and just ramble while various bits and pieces from the game play in the background. You've been warned. So anyway, where are we at and what's been happening? Well, after Jeremy kindly got me up and running with Adventure Creator, I took a couple of days to just look at the software. That tutorial was as approachable as we could possibly make it, but there's still a lot to take in here, right? So I just spent a while actually reading and clicking through all the menus, trying stuff out and seeing what did what at my own pace. And amazingly, it started to click. That is to say, things began slotting into place in the old brain box. And let me tell you, Adventure Creator really is a stunning piece of software. It takes all of these immensely complicated jobs that go on behind a game and makes them easy enough that I, an idiot, am now building a computer game. It's amazing. I haven't written a single line of code and I don't think I'll need to. And so yeah, I've just taken that rolling start and ran with it, slowly building bits and bobs out until I suddenly had this opening room, which acts as a kind of tutorial area, done. And that process was great because having this kind of vertical slice room at the beginning has taught me pretty much everything I think I'll need to be able to do. And so before I knew it, I'd built out variables that know to offer X or Y conversation options depending on whether you've already had Z conversation. And I added some flourishes like this screen shake and this dripping pipe. And then I've just kept going. So like, in the last 2 weeks I've gone from nothing but a pile of art assets to having everything up to my chapter 1 title card built. So that's this room, then a long cutscene that involves multiple other rooms, a working elevator, and a few NPCs. It's just been such an amazing couple of weeks, really. I've got loads to talk about in future videos about each of those things, like more in-depth stuff, but with the stage I'm at now, I just wanted to broadly talk about progress. Like, firstly, we've got some NPCs now. Some of you might remember that I was planning on building out the game with placeholder rectangles for these NPCs, but with all the lessons I learned by getting stuff wrong for my protagonist's animations, I thought I'd try making the one for this opening room the right way, and it turned out it didn't take all that long. And I've since got into a decent process for that, where I'm designing a character fairly quickly and then sorting out their animations like a production line. So each one needs an idle animation, a transition out of that state, and then a talking one. It's all a bit slapdash maybe, and I could spend longer on these, but you know what, sometimes good enough is good enough, and it's nice to be able to see proper NPCs start to populate the place as I go. And I think that visible progress is what I'm loving the most about this process so far. I'm a writer by trade and have written a couple of pet project novels in the past, and the thing with writing is that watching a massive Word document get slowly even more massive doesn't have very much in the way of instant gratification, and there's nothing you can really show until it's all done, whereas this game dev stuff is amazing for that. Literally every time you make a tiny change, you can press play and see it in game. And that's been really blowing my mind, to be honest. I know I'm still very much in the honeymoon period with all this, but I'm also loving the problem solving aspect of it too. That when you get a little bit stumped about how to make something work in Adventure Creator, and then you finally figure out the right combination of action lists and variables to make it happen, you feel like a bit of a genius, and that kind of problem solving isn't really something I've had to do in my professional life before. So yeah, I'm loving life right now really, and every day a little bit more of the game is materialising in front of me. Which is good news, because when my wife gets home, I can prove to her that I'm not just dicking about doing nothing. So look, I've just read this script back, and it's a bit of a senseless ramble this time around, isn't it? But I just wanted to explain all the stuff that's been going through my brain in the last couple of weeks before I forget it, and to say that it's all positive and that I'm excited to show you more, so stay tuned for more, I guess is the message. And speaking of messages, I just have two other very quick things to say before I let you go. One is that Jeremy's game Dexter Stardust Adventures in Outer Space now has a publisher and a release date, and is available to wishlist on Steam right now. There's a link to that below, and it would be greatly appreciated across the board if you could give that a little click, since wishlists are massively important on Steam. And, you know, since Jeremy is such a good egg. And two is just my regular plug for our community Discord server. If you're making a game, planning to, or are just interested in the genre generally, there's a bunch of us there helping each other out and cheering each other on. So hopefully you can drop in and show us what you're up to. If not, no worries, maybe I'll see you in the next one. Bye!